Hi, good morning. This is Representative Deborah Lakanoff coming to you from the beautiful shorelines of the Salish Sea in Washington State. I want to give my 100% endorsement for Beth Doglio running for Congress. If there is a woman that I was able to partner with, it was Beth when it came to fighting for the environment, providing a prosperous economy, and also making sure that the decisions that we make together are for 7 generations to come. Beth is strong, she's independent, but she also knows how to work around the table with all stakeholders to find common pathways. We need people like Beth in Washington, D.C., fighting for Washington State, fighting for generations to come, and making sure our nation is healthy, safe, and prosperous for 7 generations to come.
Hi, my name is Todd Buckley, and I ran for Congress for the 10th Congressional District. And now I'm putting my support behind Beth. She, in my opinion, is the only candidate who truly cares about our community. We've both lived here for over 2 decades. We care about the environment. We care about working class people. Beth is that candidate that's going to come through. We've got to have a person that can champion those ideas in our next Congress. There's just no choice for everyday working class people. It's got to be Beth.
This is Beth.
And this is Beth.
Beth Doglio.
For decades, she's led the fight on clean air and water.
Now Beth is running for Congress.
She's endorsed by labor, nurses, and firefighters.
Because Beth gets things done.
We need good-paying jobs with family-based benefits. We need a growing middle class, and we need it now.
I'm Beth Doglio, and I approve this message.
19 candidates for Congress, but only one is endorsed by nurses.
I'm voting for Beth.
Only one has led a nonprofit to protect our environment.
Beth gets things done.
Only one endorsed by 500,000 labor union members.
Beth looks out for working people.
Only one is endorsed by firefighters.
We're for Beth.
Only one endorsed by Bernie Sanders.
Beth Doglio.
I'm Beth Doglio, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Whitfield. I'm the progressive candidate here in Arkansas, running for United States Senate against John Bozeman in 2022. And as y'all know, I have decided to use my platform to promote other progressive candidates around the country. And today I have the pleasure and honor of interviewing Miss Beth Doglio, and she is a progressive Democrat running in Washington for the United States House for Congress in District 10. Let's see if I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me tonight, Dan.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, so let's just get down right into it because we do have a presidential debate tonight. So we don't want to take these people on too long. So let's start with, do you support Medicare for all?
I unequivocally support Medicare for all. It is the only system that ensures that every single person, regardless of their income or zip code, have access to health care. And we are the only industrialized nation in the world that does not have a plan that covers every single person in the country. It's far past time to implement Medicare for all. We already have a great system that works. Of course, it needs to be improved. We need to add vision, hearing, dental to Medicare for all. Long-term care as well needs to be added. But it is a great starting point, and I look forward to get into Congress and to really start working on implementing a Medicare for all system in this country.
Awesome. Yeah, and you hit all the good points, not having to have like subsidies and things like that. and extra plans. And then also the prescription drug costs are going to be significantly less. With Medicare for All, there'll be a prescription drug cost cap at $200 a year. That way, if you fill your first, say, insulin prescription on January 1st and it's more than $200, you pay your $200 and the rest of your prescriptions are free for the entire year at no cost to you, which is going to save just countless lives. It's going to help remove that financial burden from so many parents who have had children born with type 1 diabetes and things like that. So awesome. I'm so glad you support Medicare for All. That's my most important policy. And I'm glad that I've been able to interview so many candidates from all over the country now who support this piece of policy. And I'm hoping that within the next couple years, we can get it passed. I see it. I have hope. Let's see here. The next question I wanted to ask is student debt. So do you believe or support eliminating student debt?
Yeah, I absolutely think, I have friends who are still paying. I'm 55 years old. They're still paying off their student debt. In the pandemic, with so many people losing their jobs, their health care, their livelihoods, we need to move rapidly to try and eliminate as much student debt as we possibly can. And even more importantly, I think we need to really move towards a system where we are helping low and middle income kids get any kind of training after secondary that they want, whether that's trade school, two-year university, two-year community college, or a four-year university. Kids need to have that option. And again, it comes back to, does it matter? If you are wanting to pursue education, it does not matter what your family's income is, you should be able to do that. And we have a responsibility to help those kids. And in fact, in this state, in Washington, we passed a bill that puts a tax on corporations that, and it is limited to corporations who have more than 30% of their workforce needs a college education. So they pay into a fund that actually helps low and middle income kids get the kind of training they want after secondary school.
Wow, that's really cool. I had no idea. That should be a nationwide thing. That's really awesome. Wow. So now I have a new idea for federal legislation. Sweet.
That's one of the reasons that I'm running is we are doing a lot of really great progressive legislation in Washington State. We have raised the minimum wage to $13.50 an hour. We did that through an initiative process. Plus, you are now mandated to provide up to 6 sick days. Also, we have passed a paid family and medical leave program. So families get 12 weeks of paid family leave if they have a new baby or if one of their family members is ill and they need to take care of them. You don't lose your job. You get paid while you're taking that time off. You get to spend time with your newborn and not have to worry about going back to work for the first 12 weeks of that time. So really exciting. We need a permanent paid family and medical leave program. We need to raise the minimum wage. It is unbelievable to me that some states still have a $7.25 minimum wage. That hasn't been raised in a decade. People can't live anywhere in this country on $7.25 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here in Arkansas, we had actually recently passed an increase to our minimum wage, and then we had state legislators challenge it and try to repeal what the citizens voted on. And after she got a whole bunch of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, people didn't like it very much. She lost a lot of support, and then they decided to go back on it. So fortunately, we were able to raise our minimum wage, but we're just increasing $1 a year. We're not going to be where we need to be. You said $13.25?
We're at $13.50 at this
$13.50. Yeah, that would be great. And then hopefully one of these days soon we can actually have a $15 federal minimum wage so that any city you live in our country, you can afford to at least working full time afford a 1-bedroom apartment and be able to maybe afford to put new tires on your car when they're bald or something like that. So cool. I'm really glad to see that Washington is helping lead the way, especially you guys are the home to Amazon corporate headquarters, right?
Indeed, we are. Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, actually we're the home to Walmart corporate headquarters here too. So that's wonderful. Awesome. So let's see. My next question is about climate change. So do you support the Green New Deal and why? And what kind of climate legislation do you support?
Yeah. I am a supporter of the Green New Deal. I'm like, what's not to like about it? It's an intersectional plan that helps lift people out of poverty, puts frontline communities first in line to take advantage of education and job job training and jobs to actually build out our fossil-free future. There's so many things to like in the Green New Deal. And I think it's particularly important and particularly possible right now with so many people out of work due to COVID. I think part of our response, well, I know we're going to talk a little bit about the stimulus, but after we have our hands around the health impacts of COVID-19, then we really need to pass a major federal recovery package that puts people to work, building out our clean energy future, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, making sure that we have affordable housing, building affordable, efficient housing, and finally making sure that everyone has access to universal broadband. So the Green New Deal really works into that. This is an opportunity. We are on the precipice of what path our nation takes right now. We have a debate coming up tonight, and are we going to take the path where we are building a better America, where we are building out a clean energy future, a planet that is safe for our children to live in and for their children to live on? I mean, is that the path we're going to take? And are we going to do that in a way that lifts people out of poverty, that makes sure that the jobs that are involved in building out our clean energy future are good family wage union jobs? That's what I think we need. That's where I think we need to go in this country. So I am a supporter of the Green New Deal. Now, in terms of specific policies that makes the Green New Deal actually happen, I'm again excited to say that in Washington State, we have passed the nation's best 100% clean electricity bill. It puts our state on the path to fossil-free energy by 2045 and effectively by 2030, because utilities that haven't moved fossils out of their portfolio by 2030 will need to pay credits to help build out build out those projects that move us off of fossil and onto clean energy. And not only that, what the bill does is it intersects equity measures with labor standards. Really exciting piece of legislation that I am hoping to take to the other Washington, because we need to do this nationwide. I was also the prime sponsor of a green buildings bill that sets the first in the nation efficiency standard for existing commercial buildings. So if you think about the built environment, it's about 30% of our greenhouse gas emissions. And so we really need to address making our existing building stock more efficient. Again, think about the jobs that will be engaged. If a commercial building over 50,000 square feet doesn't meet a standard, people are going to have to go into that building. Workers, good family wage union jobs, go into that building to make retrofits that allow that building, that make the building hit the standard. Super exciting. It goes into effect in 2026, and early adopters will actually be able to take advantage of some state monies that were put into the budget to employ people to do the retrofits. So that's the electric sector, the building sector, and of course the transportation sector is the hardest nut to crack, but we need to move our electric sector onto the clean electric grid and then build out our mass transit, of course, make walkable and compact communities to encourage people to get out of their cars and onto their feet and onto their bicycles. And it's also a public health issue. So really exciting what I think the Green New Deal builds to us. And I have actual hands-on experience of actually passing policy that moves that Green New Deal vision towards a reality.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear you guys are making so much progress in that, that sector as well. Especially you guys are putting incentives out there so that businesses are more likely to adopt these plans earlier than scheduled. And then at the same time, like you said, it's creating jobs. And these aren't just bad jobs. These are probably really good paying jobs with good benefits and decent hours. So that's really cool. I'm glad y'all are making so much progress. Hopefully we can start to follow your example and use the model that y'all have already created and start doing that in other parts of the country as well.
Well, I want to go to DC and do this across the nation.
Yeah, that would be great. We definitely need it. We have so many climate deniers and we have so many states that are just falling behind when it comes to carbon emissions and not really taking care of the citizens' health, from polluting air to polluting our water. It's enough is enough, and I'm so glad that there's so many progressives around the country that are ready to stand up and do what it takes to get this change that we all so direly need here in America. Awesome. So my next question is about taxes, because everybody loves to talk about taxes. So do you support lowering taxes for the middle class?
Yeah, I do.
It's an easy question.
And increasing taxes on the very wealthy. I mean, 1% of the population controls 40% of the wealth in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they do with that money. I have no idea. But I can tell you something. It's really unfair that there's that concentration of wealth. And we need a tax system that recognizes that lowers taxes for lower and middle income families and raises taxes for families, for that 1% that controls 40% of the wealth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unconscionable.
Right. And then it's insane too, because the richest 1/10 of 1% is actually taking in about 80% of the wealth gain every single year right now. And at the same time, while they're taking all of this money, which is supposed to trickle back down into our economy with a trickle down economics, supply side economics, or Reaganomics, whatever you want to call it, but instead they're taking all this money, and where it's going is they're sending it to offshore banks, and they're avoiding taxation. They're avoiding putting it back into our economy, which is a huge issue. And you can see things like this, like a good example would be with Donald Trump right now, where we can see he paid, what was it, $287,000 in taxes to the Chinese government last year. But how much did he pay to the American government? $750. Not $750,000, but $750. So we need to stop billionaires from avoiding taxation altogether, start making them pay their fair share. And I'm not saying anything radical like in 1952 when it was 92% of their income, but I mean, you and me, our families, we pay what, like 20 to 30% in taxes. I would be okay with billionaires paying 20 to 30% in taxes. Just nothing outrageous. Just pay your fair share and stop avoiding them.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and if we could do that, then we could even lower the tax burden for the working class while having the same tax revenue to pay for all the programs that we really need. And then let's see, I guess that kind of goes into my last question here, which is about the oligarch. Basically, what do you think, what are, in your opinion, suggestion can we do about the oligarch and taking our government back from the special interests that have already purchased it?
Well, I think the first thing is committing to not taking corporate PAC money. So, I mean, we need to change the way campaigns are financed. Corporations have too much power, and they don't need more in DC, and people should just not be taking their money. You can't stand up to an insurance company when you're trying to go towards a Medicare for All system if you're taking their money and they're helping you with your campaign. And that's what's happening in my race. My opponent, she wasn't taking corporate PAC money in the primary, and I was out raising her because I have more individuals who support my campaign. And now she's changed her tune and she's taking corporate PAC money. And so that is a hard thing to, it's hard to raise, the same kind of money that corporations can bring into a campaign. So, and she's going to be tied to those if she wins. Hopefully she won't, but if she does, she will be. So I think it's particularly challenging at the federal level and to take corporate dollars. But we do need to figure out a better way to finance campaigns. I mean, I really feel like we need a public financing system. And my opponent actually would agree with me on that. So I think once you are in the system and you realize how challenging it is to raise money for your campaign, that we need better ways to go about allowing people to come into the system and represent people in their communities.
I have heard people talk about publicly financed campaigns where we all get even shares of federal money to run a campaign, which I think really would help even the odds, because one of the big problems with what we call our democracy is that 86% of the time the candidate with more money wins. 86% of the time. So it's not a fluke, it's a problem. And
I didn't know that statistic. I hope that doesn't play out in my race.
Oh man, it actually used to be 91% of the time before 2018, but unfortunately, with candidates like AOC coming in and beating incumbents who are outspending them 15 or even 100 to 1, they have helped lower that statistic just a little bit. Hopefully we can lower it a lot more here in the next few coming years. But overturning Citizens United, I know I had read that on your website, so I know you do support that, which is really awesome. It's very important because corporations are not people, obviously. When you have corporations like Monsanto that are poisoning people and paying billions of dollars in settlements, but they're still in business, still poisoning people, there's a problem because those executives aren't getting criminally charged as individuals. So if corporations are people, at least charge their executives that are committing crimes against the American people as people. But yeah, we definitely have to get corporate money out. We've got to get billionaires to stop injecting so much money into our political system, because money is it's not free speech. It is governmental influence. But yeah, and then I have, of course, so an idea I always like to share with other candidates is I think that we should require all legislators and elected officials to liquidate their stock portfolios upon taking office. That way it removes their own financial incentive towards voting on legislation, like if you have a bunch of money in Boeing and Raytheon and Halliburton and things like that, then you'll be a lot less likely to vote for wars. So we definitely have to figure out ways to get money out of the legislative process. That's for sure. And did you have anything that you wanted to say to your constituents, the people of Washington, or even the entire country?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, the path to progressive policy lies in districts like these. It's a safe Democratic district. I am running against another Democrat. In Washington and in California, there's what's called the top two. And so the top two people in the primary vote getters move to the general election, and it doesn't matter what your party is. So I am running against a corporate Democrat, and she was the CEO of a chamber of commerce, and she, as mayor, really, got in the way of a labor-led $15 minimum wage campaign, and just she sides with businesses and corporations, whereas I've been on the side of working people. And so I would just say, we're going to have someone in the safe Democratic district. It's either going to be a corporate Democrat or a progressive Democrat. And this is an opportunity to elect a progressive Democrat. If you can do anything to help, donate, BethDoglio.com. It's BethDoglio.com. If you can get on the phones and help make phone calls, that also is very helpful at this time, or texting. We have text banks as well. So those are the ways that we are forced to meet with voters right now. And I would just encourage you to engage. Even if it's not me, let me just say, we're not going to have these 12 days ever again. So please donate. You can pay it off later. You can pay your credit card off later. Trust me. Donate. Volunteer. Use the next 12 days to try and take this country back, because we are never going to have these 12 days again. And what happens on November 3rd is going to set our course for many years to come. So please engage, give, phone, write postcards, whatever it is you want to do, but engage.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Beth. Bernie Sanders actually had an interview today where he talked about kind of where we're going to go from here. And he made it very clear, actually, that after this upcoming election, he's going to start supporting and promoting progressive Democrats running against corporate Democrats in primaries. So I hope you win your election this year, and then hopefully next election cycle when you're up for re-election. I saw you already have Bernie Sanders' endorsement, which is awesome. Oh man, I'm so jealous. That's the best possible endorsement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And hopefully he'll help support you then as well. So you can't hear it right now, but due to your support of eliminating student debt, climate change, taking that head on, Medicare for all these things, you are the kind of progressive candidate that I endorse. And you can't hear it right now, but it's playing in applause. And I would like to give you my endorsement. I am so proud of your progressive values and your policies. I hope that we can have more candidates just like you running all around the country until we can finally take our government back from these special interests that have purchased it and return it to the American people. So thank you so much, Beth. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you all so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate it before the debate here. Appreciate your support. Make sure you get out there, share her website, share her tweets, share her progressive values with all of your friends and followers. And, I think I should be having another interview, a very exciting one here coming up soon. I had actually reached out to Vice President Joe Biden, and I had also reached out to the candidate for United States President of the Green Party, Howie Hawkins, and I got a response back from one of them, so hopefully I'll be interviewing them here within the next week. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful night. May God bless y'all, and may God bless America.